Stones can be thrown from all angles, but when you stand firm on the rock, He will protect you. Allie Colleen is no stranger to the music industry. The youngest daughter of Garth Brooks, Allie's passion for singing and songwriting started at a young age, giving her a reputation of being an extraordinary songwriter with a powerful, iconic sounding voice. She writes and sings about the layers of love and heartbreak that has shaped her life. This is her story. This is today's Nashville. This is Faith. Allie Colleen, what a blessing and honor it is to sit down with you this morning and talk to you. You have been all over the place.
We have done our best, yeah.
You were just in Canada.
We did. We had our first kind of international shows this last weekend. It was amazing. It was cold.
Cold.
It was like 60, 69 kind of. And it was actually really nice, but I don't know that I was prepared for it. But
and now you're back in Nashville and it is steaming hot.
It's so hot. It's so hot. But it was amazing. It was really amazing. We're very lucky to get to go anywhere we get to go.
Well, I'm just so excited to talk about everything that's going on in your life, your music, your career, and what God is doing in your life. But before we really dig in, and I want my viewers and audience to know who you truly are, let's go back a little bit into your history. Mm-hmm. You have a very unique family, and so I want you to share that part with it.
Absolutely. I have very well-known parents that are in the same industry as I am. And I have three amazing parents. I have a mom and a dad and a bonus mom. And just very lucky to have the family that I have. I have two older sisters. And, I'm often asked, when was that moment for you that you wanted to do music? That you knew that you wanted to do this. And I don't know that moment ever happened, in the sense of there's never been a second in my life that every decision I was making wasn't towards this interview today. You know what I mean? Like I love music, and there's never been a time when I wasn't obsessed with writing and storytelling and all of those things. And I just am so grateful to have an outlet like that to use, nonetheless, to hopefully do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I read that you grew up. A lot of people your age, and I want to say you're my youngest person so far on this show.
Brad!
Yeah, so that's awesome. But you knew right away, and a lot of people your age, they struggle with what to do, but God gave you that gift. Mm-hmm. So what age were you when you started writing your music?
It wasn't long after I was literally just able to read and write, kind of thing. I remember being as young as probably 7 or 8 and writing a lot of fictional stories, as well as a lot of poems, and a lot of things like that. I was a very emotional kid and adult, or whatever I am now, young lady, whatever I am. I was very emotional. And I found that as a kid, most of my emotions were always downplayed, by everyone around me. It just as if I couldn't comprehend what that emotion was like at that age, or whatever the case was. And I found at a very early age that if I wanted to talk about myself, it was usually chalked up to, oh, you're a kid, or oh, whatever, all this stuff. But if I wrote stories that other people connected with, then all of a sudden I understood people and they understood me. So I became very in love with songwriting and storytelling in that kind of way.
Now, did your family influence you in any way, or because you grew up in a very musical family?
I did. My dad and my bonus mom do music. They are, in my opinion, the best at what they do. And I think the biggest influence that had on me as a child was just seeing two people do what they were born to do, But no, my family and I have never sat down and wrote together or sang together or done any of those things. I've showed or shared very few songs in person, with my family. I'll sometimes email my parents songs and be like, do you want to listen?
What did they say?
They're always just very encouraging. Not a lot of constructive feedback, just a lot of encouragement. And I am very grateful for that. I think sometimes I wish that it was a little more constructive, but then at the same point in time, I'm no short of a critic myself. So I think that God knows that I really just need encouragement most of the time.
And you grew up in a very, a Christian family. You went to a Christian school. How has that shaped your music, or has it had any influence? Because I was listening to some of your songs, and it seems like every single song has just, and we're going to get into that in a little bit, but, it has that a little bit of faith in each, and it's country.
Absolutely. I think that it's shaped everything about me. It's shaped how I treat people. It's shaped how I allow people to treat me. It's shaped the stories that I choose to give attention to. There's a lot of things in the world to write about, and I think there's a lot of things to write about that are not going to feed the spirit in any kind of way, and I find that that's something that I look for in music as a consumer. I look for something that I can snack on and be full from afterwards, and be validated from. And that's not always good things, but I find that my faith has really encouraged the narratives that we choose to talk about, and what I have decided is important as an artist, and what I want to represent. And a lot of that is seeing households with single parents, and a lot of that is seeing households with divorce, and a lot of that is seeing households with just everyday struggles, whether it's temptation or whether it's just pain or whatever it is. And I just find that it's very validating sometimes to give somebody a 3-minute room to sit in for that, and then you can go and go on about your day, and so I think my faith has really, really encouraged a lot of the storylines that we have been encouraged to talk about.
So as a young woman, an artist, and I'm sure you've got a lot of young fans, they're looking up to you. And, we're living in a time where, a lot of people are walking away. And I think your music encourages that, the younger generation and all generations. When I listened to it, I thought, wow, you got an unbelievable voice, message. What would you say to a younger person that's looking up to you right now?
I think that there's going to be a lot of people that think that they know things. And I think that they are genuine, and I think that they do believe what they are telling you. But I can tell you that there is an overly audible voice that comes from inside of me that has never encouraged fear, and it has never encouraged, for lack of a better term, dumbing myself down into anything that makes sense to other people. And I would just encourage them to be who they are, as long as that's rooted in love. I think as long as whatever you're doing is rooted in love and good intentions, God will make a way to make it work. You cannot do things wrong if you are being who God made you to be, and that is just you. Failures and all. So that's my thing, just be you, whatever that is.
I just love that. You wrote a song, and you put out a new release called Stones, and I started looking at that, listening to the lyrics about people throwing stones, and we're going to talk about that because I think it's so important. We're going to talk about that when we come back.